Hi there, I'm Jim with First Line Equipment, and today we have the Baratza Vario-W coffee and espresso grinder. This grinder is a fabulous grinder for multiple type of coffee brew methods and extraction methods. It has a high torque DC motor with a belt drive transmission. It has 230 settings for grinding fineness, and it also has ceramic burrs that are made in Germany by Malkonic. Ceramic burrs are very good for coffee. They also have their downsides versus steel blades. Ceramic burrs, when they're grinding the coffee, it actually doesn't heat the coffee, grinds while it's grinding. The heat dissipation is much better, the heat buildup is less. However, the downside to ceramic burrs is little stones, little pieces of metal that sometimes get captured during the raking of green beans and don't get captured by the coffee roasters. And when those particles get into this grinder, they can damage the ceramic burrs. So just be careful when you're pouring beans in, that there's no cement, no steel, no foreign particles that are entering the grinder. As you can see, everything on this side is what is included in the grinder. It's pretty much in one big box and then two smaller boxes on the inside. This grinder itself is in one box and then everything else is pretty much in a different box. One thing we have here is the bean hopper, 250 grams, and it comes with a cover. And there's actually some notches on the grinder. And when you insert this, basically you want this one notch to be in the back here. This is the most difficult part for this grinder, is actually with the bean hopper and its cover, you need to put a lot of force and rotate it and lock it into position. There's a lot of force required. I cannot stress that enough. And to get it out, the same thing, without breaking the bean hopper. What this notch does here is it presses a micro switch. And that's what allows power to go to grinder. So if the bean hopper is not in position, the micro switch will not send power to the rest of the grinder. The grinding burrs, the top burr carrier can be removed, and there's a tool that Baratza includes. You lock this in, and to unlock, you turn clockwise, and the top burr set comes out. A not so easy task to get the burr set out. Typically, the burr set needs to be cleaned once every week to 2 weeks if it's oily beans. You can go 3 weeks if they're non-oily beans. They also include a sample product by Full Circle, which is made by Ernix, and a quick guide right here. I would rather use the cleaning tablets to clean the grinder, just because this is just difficult work to clean here. So we're going to lock this back into position, so it's going to be counterclockwise. And there are sleeves on the inside. You need to make sure you go all the way. Let's get the bean hopper into place. And turn. That's the difficult part. Now we're going to get to the easier part. If your grinder needs calibration, there's a calibration tool, and there is a little Allen key right up in here to adjust it. Just read the instruction manual. If it does need calibration, it explains how to do it. Not that difficult. This weight scale right here is sensitive and something that you need to have care when handling. You don't want to be putting heavy weights, nothing crashing into the scale. For cleaning, we actually have a little air gun here, and any type of grind, just clean it out with forced air. This is not included with the purchase. Inside the box you'll also find a quick start guide. Read this, read the manual, get a good understanding. The catch basin for the grinds, this can hold up to 150 grams of coffee, and this grinder, actually the maximum amount that it can grind per session without stopping is 150 grams. Me personally, I wouldn't grind that much. I think it's a little too much on the motor, but it's set up where you could program the 3 buttons here in the front for how much coffee grinds you want. Pretty much you can almost press any button for turning the grinder on. The instruction manual is also included. Please read that. And we're going to put the catch basin on the front. Typically, the pre-programmed grinding amount is set for 15 on number 1, it's 30 for number 2, and 60 for number 3. Again, any of these can be programmed for your amount of coffee. The 230 settings that we spoke to, we have a macro adjustment on the right side and a micro adjustment on the left side. So French press, we want a setting of around 9, drip around 5 or 6, and setting 1 or 2 for espresso. And typically you start right here around the K mark on the left hand side. Now, customers sometimes ask us, what's the best grind setting for espresso? Well, it depends on your machine. It depends if you have pressurized baskets, non-pressurized baskets. It depends on the amount of coffee you're using. It depends on the type of bean or bean blend that you're using. So oily beans, sometimes you're going to grind a little coarser, and less oily beans are going to grind finer. Oily beans have oils on the surface already, so you're going to grind a little coarser. You need to adjust on how the pour is coming out on the espresso, or on the drip, see how the pour is coming out, as well as the taste. And changing the grind settings can actually affect the flavor profile of the beverage slightly. In some cases actually a lot, but usually slightly. We're going to get some beans in here so you can hear the grinder. This is our own freshly roasted, non-marked Colombian blend. And we'll mark it for 15. And go to the start button. Coffee's grinding. Now, in this case, the tare was already 0. But if this scale is off, the balance is off, you would hit the tare button and that would return it to 0. So right now, they usually say between minus or plus 0.2 grams. Right now it actually just targeted at 15. So you may get a little less or a little more. Okay, so this is the grind fineness, and this is actually very fine, probably almost for Turkish. And this, I usually like to feel the coffee grinds between my fingers, and that'll tell me if it's good enough for espresso. So let's put that back in there. With the coffee, I just tared it again, and it returned back to 0. Put the cover back on. Now we want to change the weights of each setting. So right now this is set at 15. I'm going to press it up, press the up arrow key to 18. And you can hold it in while it's going up. I actually held it in before, and it actually goes up to 150. This, and Baratza says hold the button in for 3 seconds, and it blinked. And let's start again. And right now we're at 17.8, and there we go at 18. This thing is phenomenally precise. So either for your drip coffee, this is a great setup, actually even in a commercial environment where you'll have 4 or 5 of these. You can offer 4 or 5 different coffee blends and grind fresh right for your customer, and then pour in a dripper. Also French press as well, and you can change the settings on the fly, which is really nice. It doesn't have stepless settings, but with this you can find the settings very quickly, put in the beans that you need, and grind what you need. So there's a lot of variability with this grinder. In the home setting, you can do espresso, and you can grind precisely for what you need. And if you want 7.25 grams or 7 grams, or if you want 18 grams for the larger basket, you can program that and get the precise measurement. Once you get the precise measurement, then the only thing you need to do is play with the macro adjustment, and usually not even that, but also the micro. And again, you're looking at the pour that's coming out on the espresso extraction, and ultimately, not just the pour, but actually the flavor profile. So that's why we really like the Baratza Vario-W grinder. We hope you enjoyed this video from First Line Equipment. And if you have any questions, please contact us. And this product is also sold on our website. Thank you and have a great day.